Hello folks, it is Monday, which means it's time for some more hobby nightmares. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. If you want to support the channel, then head on over to minimaker.com. They are a really cool mini making service, 3D printing service, and they can get you some amazing sculpts and models, kind of like these. If you've ever wanted a cafe leaning Orc Blood Bowl team, this is the one for you. And these are only gaming quality miniatures. This is mid-standard of what they do, and look at the detail on these models. Look how the fine prints that they are coming out these days from Minimaker. They're amazing. I've got my Imperial Guard guns behind me that I'm painting up right now. Absolutely, they are saving the hobby for me, folks. It is going really well over there. So, if you want any cool models that you want for your tabletop, then make sure you head over there to the website and use the promo code Northern Exile at checkout to get yourself 10% off your order at checkout. And anywhere in the world, for €10, they will ship your order directly to your door. Australian and New Zealand brothers, they've got you covered. No matter where you are in the world, you can be as far away as, well, Australia and New Zealand, and they'll get your models to you. So, awesome models, awesome deals, go and support them. They're really cool people. Right, cool. Let's jump in to the Hobby Nightmares, shall we? Who is first today? It is Throwaway. Hello, Throwaway. How's it going, man? And he says, good morning, North. I hope you're doing well and yours are all doing well too. Yes, they are. My family's doing well. Thank you. Today, I have a hobby nightmare about something I don't think you've ever had on the channel. Whittling. Whittling. Okay. To provide some context, I like to make lots of very simple little things across many different mediums. After I make something, I'll label it with my Instagram, scatter it around some random place for people to find, then post a picture. I really enjoy the process of creating. Well, you're in the right place, man. You're in the right place. God, I love a cup of tea in the morning. It's just brilliant. Sets you up really well. Even if they're relatively low quality things, it's still something I've created, so it means a lot to me. And sometimes I even get comments from people who have found my stuff in the wild and they love it. So, this has become a great source of stress relief. I firmly believe everybody, men especially, should have a hobby where they create something. I believe it is one of the greatest, most fulfilling acts God has given us. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm absolutely with you on that one. I think a lot of the dudes, out there, we all need to create something. One thing I would say, in terms of being in the hobby of Warhammer, do not look at people online and judge your models by their standard. Do you know what I mean? As long as you're getting the value out of what you're doing, that's good enough. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, I had to cough there. That's good enough, you know? I'm so guilty of this. I will see another paint scheme on YouTube or something, and I'll immediately start to go, oh my god, my models aren't very good, I need to go back and repaint them all. Don't do that. Don't do that, right? Stick with your guns. Stick to it, right? Paint the next ones better, or maybe even buy some other models, or do another model that is in that colour scheme you like, but don't repaint the ones you finished. Those are yours, and they stand as like a snapshot of a time in your life, dude. Always remember that. You'll always remember where you were when you painted those models. Stick to it. Have fun with it. Or do another force. That's something like that, right? Anyway, to get back on track, at the time of this nightmare, it would be an understatement to say I was feeling a little stressed. My wife had been having a bunch of symptoms crop up with no real explanation. She was having chest pains, she had fallen over once or twice, and had a general feeling of being unwell. Heart issues. Yeah, that's scary. That's scary, yeah. We naturally perused, I don't know how you spelt that. We naturally pursued finding out what was wrong with her, much to the expense of our bank accounts. We were absolutely broke, and at this time, we still hadn't any answers about her medical conditions. Naturally, I decided I needed to relieve some stress, so I figured I should whittle something. However, at the time, I didn't have a good protective pair of gloves, but I had a project that I had already almost finished with. A weird little creature with a TV for a head. picture attached. Dude, I've got to see this. I've got to see this. Okay. A TV headed... I've got to see this. Like, again, alright. Here's the thing. This is going to sound really weird, and it's going to get clipped. I love men, right? I think men are the coolest form of life on planet Earth. Sorry, they just are. We just are. Because we can do little things. You can stick a bunch of men in a room, right? And you give them some sticks, and they will create a game called Happy Sticky Time, where they're throwing the sticks at the wall and seeing who can get the furthest up the wall, you know, and they'll assign points and league tables and all sorts. They will have so much fun. They will be there all day doing that. Men can just do that, right? You stick a load of women in a room, they will talk about their feelings and get bored within like an hour or two. Like maybe an hour. They'll be bored sitting there in silence. Probably because they've all upset each other, you know, by being bitchy. No, you stick a load of men in a room, right? And all they'll need is a prop or two. And they will create a new sport, right? Literally, like even if you don't give them anything, you just say, "Yeah, entertain yourselves for like 6 hours." They'll be like, "Okay." They'll create like a you know that slap fight game, you know, with your hands. They'll create a league table doing that. They'll be like, "Yeah, who's going to be the champion of this game we've just made up?" You know, they will take their socks off, right, and play sock golf all day. Men are awesome, and this is what I mean when you whittle things like this, right? This is just a guy being a guy. I love it. This is just him just going, I'm going to make something. Why? Because I want my hands to make something, and that's just what I'm going to do. You know, that there is such a thing as being positively autistic. You know, I think all men are on the spectrum somewhere, all of them, at some point, right? Don't talk to me and say that, you know, sock golf doesn't sound fun. It is fun, right? If you don't know what it is, look it up. Literally, I've done it in the house with my daughter, right? Where you get a bunch of rolled up socks, and you get a basket, or even an area where the sock needs to go. That's the hole that the ball needs to go in, right? For the golf course. And you assign every room in the house, or you know, like the hallway, whatever, a par. So it's like a par 2 or a par 3, and you hit the ball with your hand. You have the socks with your hand to try and get it in the basket under a par, right? And you go all around the house like a golf course. Men could do that in an empty room and have loads of fun just doing that. They do the Open Championship in an empty room with a bunch of socks. I'm telling you, we're awesome. Like that's the one thing that my missus has said she gets jealous of dudes for, right? Apart from being able to play with certain things on their bodies because it sounds fun, but like apart from that, right? She's like, no, I am jealous that you can switch your brains off and just do monkey. You know what I mean? Return to monkey and just like have some fun doing that. Like I just can't do that, and none of my friends know how to do that either. So yeah. Anyway. Alrighty. Okay. In fact, he was ready for painting, this television guy, but I decided I wanted the rock he was standing on to have a little bit more detail. So I thought to myself, screw it, it's only a few small cuts, nothing straight down, it'll be fine. It was not fine. I made a tiny little V-cut, which for those who don't know, is exactly what it sounds like. You cut an angle from 2 points, meeting at the central point, slowly taking more material out. By the end, it forms a V-shape. This should have been perfectly safe. I wasn't using much force, however, the wood decided to split on me. My whittling knife plunged straight into my palm. With a new, roughly 1.25 inch slice in my hand, I thought to myself, you know, I should have waited until we could afford the gloves to do this. I then immediately grabbed a nearby rag and squeezed it as hard as I could to slow the bleeding, and gently asked my wife to drive me to the ER. Several stitches, a nice scar, and 2 big bills later, I came out fine with no permanent damage. Thankfully, the bills also didn't come due until we were able to afford them. I have to chuckle about it once in a while though, especially because, while I don't believe in it, according to palm reading, I think I actually extended my lifeline, and by extension, my lifespan. Who knew immortality was so easy to obtain? For anybody worried about my wife, she's doing much better overall. We've since found out she had an autoimmune condition, which causes a lot of other symptoms and conditions to pop up. We're learning to manage them more effectively, and by the grace of God, we're doing alright. I've attached a picture of my healed scar, if you want to chuckle at my long lifespan. I've got to do that. I also couldn't resist sharing some of my favourite whittled guys, that I couldn't bear to part with. A shark-grasshopper hybrid, an alien with a ridiculously wide load, and a grumpy old blob with a bowler hat. P.S. My wife also insisted I include a picture of the alien's aforementioned wide load. Dude. I'm going to show all this. I'm going to show all of these mainly because I know people in the comments will be genuinely curious as to what the hell you're talking about. So let's have a little look at these, shall we? Here is the scar. Here is the scar. Oh my god, that looks pretty gnarly. Oh my god. Yeah, that's ow. Yeah, thank God you use your right hand, am I right? Ow. That would suck. That would suck. Major balls. Do you know what? I'd buy... If you varnish these, you could sell them. Yeah, I like these. This is awesome. Yeah, this is cool. This is awesome. I'm gonna keep them on for a little bit as I do the next Hobby Nightmare. So the next Hobby Nightmare is from Jay. And this is more of a quest for advice than a Hobby Nightmare, but I do think it's pretty important, which is why I wanted to read it out here. So he says, "Hello, Mr. North. I've been listening for about a year and a half. I love your takes on the hobby and how you advocate for mental health, as I've lost a family member to that darkness." Oh, dude, I'm sorry to hear that. It's the one thing you can never take back, folks. It's the one thing you can never, ever take back. I've never, ever known a friend of mine, unfortunately, right, especially in this hobby, I know a lot of people who have thought about, you know, deleting themselves over the years. I've never known one of them to regret not doing it. Do you know what I'm saying? I've never known a friend of mine to go, do you know what, I wish I'd gone through with that. Life sucks, it never got better. Not one of them's ever said that, right? And doing this channel too, a lot of guys in the hobby, they've always said, look, you know, I'm in a really bad place, things are going awfully, I don't know what to do, I'm thinking about ending things. And a couple of years later, you know, I speak to them on and off, a couple of years later, they're like, yeah, you know, things are going okay now. You know, not one of them has said, nah, I wish I'd have done it, wish I had the balls to have done it. Things would have been so much easier. Not one. You know, I tell the story about that guy, the Dark Eldar guy at Games Workshop, who, you know, nobody knew he was depressed. You could tell there was something going on. There's something with this guy. And I played him a few times when I was working at the store. And, you know, he was a lovely lad and really, really fun to play. Very quiet, very timid. You know, he's a bit of a goth. You could tell, but he plays Dark Eldar, of course he is. You know, bit of a goth, but harmless, you know. And then I see him in Sainsbury's a few weeks later, and he wants to sell me his Land Raider tank. I think it was his Land Raider tank. He's like, yeah, do you want to buy it? And I said, no, man, I don't need it. Like, you know, and I can't afford it. Do you know what I mean? I work at Games Workshop. I can't afford to do this hobby. So he said, oh, okay, no worries. I think he tried to just give it to me in the end, and I wouldn't accept it. But anyway, he ended up, you know, passing away. He ended up, you know, deleting himself, essentially. And, you know, it went around our group, the Demonettes, our hobby group, and we were all shocked and saddened by it, you know, and it was horrible. But when I spoke to people on this channel, they said, yeah, dude, that's what happens. People give their stuff away. It's a big warning sign. I didn't know at the time, but yeah, apparently it is a huge warning sign when they give stuff away. You know, but anyway, it sucks, but it's the one thing you can never take back, you know. You cannot. Once it's done, man. You don't throw life away. Life is precious. It's absolutely precious. I know it's going to sound really weird. Find a way to get through it. It's simple as that. It doesn't matter what you do. You can just get up in the morning and decide, as my victory today, I'm going to put a podcast on in my ears, or I'm going to listen to some lore, or listen to Northern Exile, or whatever you want to do, and you go for a walk around the block. That could be your one victory for today. Go outside and get some vitamin D. That could be your victory. In the end, in a few weeks, your victory might be, I'm going to go to a coffee shop with my laptop and I'm going to watch videos there instead of in my room. Victory. Dude, I've done these things. I've literally done these things. Baby steps. Little by little. Getting you out of your room. Getting you out of your... It's not a comfort zone, man. You're ossifying in there. You're ossifying. You're literally calcifying and becoming more ingrained and going more down these dark places. Don't do that, right? Get out. Go and... It's a phrase for a reason. Go and touch grass. Walk outside. You know? You don't have to... Here's the thing. And I always say this to dudes who are struggling. You don't have to be like a gym bro. You don't have to be going, right, we need to go sort this out now. Sort out my brain. Let's go to the gym. Let's do this. You don't need to do that. All you need to do is pick one little victory a day and build on that. So today's victory might be, I'm getting up and I'm going outside. You know? It could be as small as that. It doesn't need to be very big. And then every single day you do a little thing and it starts to compound and it starts to build and you gain momentum. Momentum is crucial in life. If you're just sitting there waiting for the end, or you're doom scrolling, or you're watching things on YouTube that make you worse, as in political stuff and, you know, dude, no. Stuff that makes you hate other people, that's a spiral, man. And all you're going to do is make yourself worse. Right? Anyway, let me carry on. This isn't so much of a hobby nightmare as it's a call for advice. I play Warhammer 40,000 with my buddies, and I've had an issue with two of them over moving their models. Okay. And when I try to correct it in a polite manner, they get overly upset and move it slightly back when they already got 2 inches of extra movement, or more sometimes. So they don't really... Oh, sorry, let me get that over there. Cool. So they don't really correct their mistake. I play competitively, but I do dial it back for my more casual friends, like these guys. But I don't know how else to bring it up, because when I do, they claim I'm just sweating on them or nitpicking like at a tournament. But I'm trying not to. I just want to have a fair game on both sides. Any advice would be appreciated, and I thank you in advance for your advice. Alright. I have to say, dude, you know, this is the other... Do you know when I say tournament players can be really, really shitty at times? Well, so can casual players. And this is the toxic side of casual play, right? It is literally a tournament player comes in and just wants to play the game rules as written. That's it. Doesn't want to do anything extra, right? He doesn't really want to do any stratagems or anything like that. He doesn't want to do anything extra. He just wants to do a bog standard game of 40k, but he wants to play the rules. He doesn't want to just make rules up or throw them out. He doesn't see the rules as guidelines. They are the rules, right? And that's a completely fair way to play the game. It's the bog standard, dude. If you're playing a game of 40k, you should play rules as written. Literally, you should just go in there, play rules as written. You shouldn't be going in expecting a fluff fest where you can kind of make up your own rules or whatever, or just ignore rules you don't like, right? This can be quite toxic with people who are so enamored with having their own way and playing the game their own way that when somebody like Jay comes in and says, you know, hey, I just want to play 40k, I don't want to do any of the extra rules, I'm not going to use any stratagems, I'm not going to do anything mental, I'm just going to use the rules as they are in the codex, and that's it, right? If you're arguing against that, dude, you might be a toxic casual player, you know? Don't get me wrong, I love casual play. It's why I play one-page rules, right? And with my very good friends, I will play games of 40k where, you know, we throw out certain rules that we don't like. Or we add rules that we think should matter, right? There was a house rule I had quite famously back in the day on the channel where I had only heroes could defeat heroes, right? So you could absolutely get whittled down by your opponent's troops, but they couldn't take off your last wound, you know? And we kind of balanced that by giving everybody regeneration as well. So you'd regenerate, you know, D3 wounds every turn if you lost some, you know? So it meant that your opponent could absolutely focus fire down your Rabute Gilliman model, but it had to be, but one of your HQs had to take off that last wound, right? And it made for some awesome, brilliant cinematic duels and moments. And as a house rule, it worked really well. But I wouldn't go up to somebody like Jay, if I don't know him, and try and play that rule with him and say, listen, I want to play this rule. Why? Why should he? I don't know him. We should just play 40k, and establish that as a baseline of trust. So I know how he plays, he knows how I play, and everything's fine. A few weeks down the line, after a few games in, then I can start introducing new rules and having some fun with it, right? That's no problem. What Jay wants to do here is just play 40k, and his friends aren't interested. His friends want to play fluffy games with fluffy rules, and that's their prerogative as well. That is their prerogative. Jane, you're not being tournament-y, right? You're not being overly competitive. You want to play 40k, and there's nothing wrong with that. What I would do in this situation, honesty is the best policy, my man. I often find that every single time I've given this advice, it's worked out for the person. You talk to them. You say, listen, I'm a tournament player, but all I want to do is play the rules as they're written, guys. I don't want to do anything more than that. Okay, nothing more than that. I'm tone down your list for them. Do that. Tone it down. Just pull back a bit and say, no, I'm so up for you having a good time that I'm actually going to tone down my own playstyle and my own list building to make sure that we're all having a good time here. But that also means that I want to play the rules as written, and if I spot a mistake in the rules, then I will call it out because I want to play a fair game. And when I make mistakes, I'd like you to call it out too, just to say, listen, no man, I don't think it moves that far, or I don't think the range on that is right. Are you sure that's rapid fire? That kind of a thing. That means we can both learn the rules. There is a stark difference between being crunchy and nitpicking and rules lawyering and actually playing the rules. Actually playing the rules isn't rules lawyering. It isn't, right? Standing there and talking and arguing about ranges when just to slow down the game, that is rules lawyering. That is when you're in there, querying every single rule that comes out of your opponent's mouth is rules lawyering, right? You're literally getting in there, you're litigating the game rather than playing it, and that's not the right way to do it. And that's not what you're doing. You're literally saying that model is moving 3 inches too far, can you move it back, please? So no, you're not doing anything wrong here. This isn't tournament crunchiness, and this is the toxic attitude that some casual players have. They will literally say, because you're playing the rules as written and you want to play them properly, you're a tournament scumbag and we don't want to play with you. Dude, that's idiotic. Do you want to play the game or not? Alright? Right? To me, being a fluffy player, which I am by the way, right? It means you establish a list that you build on a theme. For instance, my small Void Talons force, right? They all have claws of some sort. I just use them as normal chainswords, but they all have claws. The army follows a theme. There are lots of normal Primara Space Marines in there. There are Assault Marines, because they like to assault. They like to go into close combat, things like that. Now, is that the optimum list right now? No, hell no, right? I lose nearly all the time. But I have fun because I'm playing my army and I'm playing my fluff and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I even lose in one-page rules with it. It's really, really, really... But it's a cool army and people like looking at it. The Exiled Blades too, right? The Emperor's Wolves that I changed the Exiled Blades. They are literally all swordsmen. They are knightly swordsmen, very noble, very, upstanding. And they look cool on the tabletop. But are swords, power swords and chain swords the best way to go about it? No. But I love using them. Right, I'm a fluffy guy. It means more to me that I make a Warhammer 40,000 list that I'm getting stuff out of. I'm enjoying it, right? I'm not creating a list to win the game. I'm creating a list to get my army that I built and I wrote the lore for on the tabletop and get it working properly. That's what I built the list for. That's fluffy play, right? Fluffy play is trying to get moments out of your games, trying to get duels off. Always getting your HQ choice into their HQ choices in a duel or whatever, right? Trying to get stuff going like that. Trying to have things happen on the tabletop that are dynamic and cool, rather than just trying to win the game. That's a fluffy playstyle, and almost everybody that I know likes playing against fluffy players. Even competitive dudes like it, right? Not playing the rules because it's either too hard to learn, or you just don't like them because they're not, giving you an advantage. That's not fluffy play. That's called being an arsehole. And that's what your friends are doing. They're not fluffy players. They're being arseholes. So you need to say, look, I want to play the rules as written. If you don't want to do that, then why don't we just go and play Tiddlywinks or something? Do you know what I mean? Like why are we spending all of this money on this hobby if we're not going to play the rules? What's the point? We may as well just paint the models and play backgammon or something. Play cards. It'd be cheaper. Right? Be honest. Say, man, I'm not trying to rules lawyer you. I'm not trying to be an arse. All I want to do is play the rules as they're written in the codex. That's it. And I will tone down my list to make sure you have fun. Absolutely. I'm well aware you guys aren't that competitive as players, and I respect that. Yeah, just be honest with them. That's what I would do. Anyway, I love you all a long time. I will speak to you tomorrow for some more 40k rantage, where we're going to have another Grimdark Therapy episode. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be discussing what part of 40k lore actively made you roll your eyes. We'll be there with Outer Circle and What the 40k. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow for that. Have a good one. Bye now.